One of the things I'd like to talk about is the benefits of an employee sharing their personal well-being goals with their manager in a goal-setting process. And in my experience, particularly the first time you go through a goal-setting process, it's natural for the employee to be hesitant or feel somewhat awkward or uncomfortable sharing personal life goals or life constraints or challenges that don't on their face appear to be applicable to their job. If I'm going through a divorce, or I'm thinking of going through a fertility program, or I've got a sick parent, or I've got some kind of life goal that maybe I'm not proud of, or maybe I feel is a confidential matter, and I feel sometimes that it's awkward to bring that up and talk about it with a manager. The reality is that we're all people, and as employees you can't separate the people side of things from the employee side, that they're intertwined, and in fact they're connected and supportive of one another. And so what happens is, if I've got a personal goal or a life goal or a life issue that's happening to me, it affects the way that I'm able to perform my job. And today's top managers are sensitive to that. They're aware of the fact that this just isn't an employee who's here to do my bidding during the day, but rather they have goals, they have personal ambitions, they have challenges and problems, they have developmental needs, and they need the support of that manager to help them accomplish that. Similarly, as a manager, I felt somewhat awkward when someone has been very disclosing about their personal objectives, their personal goals, or their personal problems during a goal setting session. I've kind of said, okay, hold on a minute, you're kind of getting into a land that I'm not comfortable with. Are you sure you want to share that with me? And I felt that maybe it was inappropriate because I'm keeping my employer-employee sort of arm's length relationship, and that this is maybe crossing a line. And I think what I would like to suggest is that there's value to both parties in sharing those life constraints and life ambitions and concerns, even those that are outside of work. There are times when those personal goals may create a conflict with responsibilities at work, and so it's important to talk about that. It may be that those outside obligations and ambitions actually are the root of inspiration and motivation for the work that somebody might do. So for example, if I'm aspiring to buy a new house, it may be that I need to make enough money that I can afford to buy that new house. And making enough money is something that's very, very central to doing my job, particularly if I'm in a revenue-related kind of role. If I'm, I've got, at some point in my life, I may want to prioritize spending time with my kids, and I need the flexibility in my job to be able to do that. I may not be able to put in as many hours as I would at some other stage in my career, and so it's important that I talk about that, and that my manager knows that, hey, it's not because I'm not ambitious or I don't want to do quality work, but it's that I've got these responsibilities with my kids at home and that I need to dedicate time, and that's a priority to me in my life. And so if you work together, manager and employee, you can actually accomplish the business's goals more effectively. Both parties can do that, and you can help that person accomplish what they want to do in their life without owning that goal, that personal goal. The manager doesn't become accountable for whether the employee does well in their weight loss program, or whether they end up finding the person that they want to get married to. That's not the manager's job to do that, but it's important to know that that's something that the employees may be investing time in, something that they're working on. So I think it's natural to feel some sense of discomfort around a lot of well-being specific kind of goals, and yet I think that inevitably the more trusting the relationship that you build, the more open you are about discussing those kinds of things, the more effectively the relationship is built, the work relationship is built, and you're able to help that employee be the most productive they can be within their work life, and therefore within their personal life.